Hello, my name is Steve Miller. I'm a math professor at Williams College, and a couple of my friends have asked me about solving the Rubik's Cube. It took me an embarrassingly long amount of time to learn how to do this, but thanks to two of my former students, Chang and Umang Varma, I have finally learned how to do this. So what I thought I would do is just briefly walk through the method of how you would solve a standard Rubik's Cube. One thing that's worth noting is this is the standard one. Each side is yellow, green, white, red, blue, or orange. If you take a Rubik's Cube that has patterns, and as a Red Sox fan, I will choose a nice one like this one. One of the things that's very interesting, as you can notice, is this picture looks fine, this side looks fine, but this side actually has a center square that's rotated. And so it is possible to do a sequence of moves whose net result is to leave some of the center squares rotated. And we will leave it as an exercise to the listener to figure out which possible rotations of center squares are permissible. All right, so the way the Rubik's Cube goes here, this is how I was taught to do it, is first get one side done correctly and start off with the 4 points, the 4 sides on the top. So I always do red because this way I just have to remember red is on top. So I'll move this up here and I will align this now with blue. And so this part I basically just play for the most part just by sight. And so now here is the red-yellow, here's the yellow side here. I want to get this one facing that way, and so just play a few moves around, and now I've got the red-yellow lined there, the red-blue lined over here. So now I've got to keep going for the other two. So here is red-green. Red-green is going to be over here, so I want to get this one up to here. So I'll move this around, spin over, come back up. So now, hopefully I have not, oops, although, did I get it right? Probably trying to keep things inside of the, so here. All right, so I've got now, unfortunately, having some trouble. Here's the blue, so we've got the 3 ones over here. So now we've got to get red, yellow. I think I mixed that up as I was moving things. Okay, it's over here. I just have to rotate that back. And now we need to get the red, white. And so look down, here is the red, white over here. And so we need to just get it around. I can move it around like this, and then, oops, move it all the way up here like this. So this is not going to be, unfortunately, a terrifically great one, but you can hopefully just get the idea. And then just rotate it to get everything back. So if you notice, we've made a cross over here, and we have the reds going into the yellows exactly like this. And the important thing to note is it's not enough to just solve the top. You have to solve it correctly in terms of the 4 corners, in terms of the centers of the sides. So now I want to get the corners. I have here a green, red, white corner. So I have, here's my white side, here's my green side. It's got to go into this spot. So if I move it over here, it's now in the wrong spot. I can switch it, move it around a little bit, and just play a couple of moves like this, and just eventually move it around, and it will come up into the right spot. So over here, here is blue, yellow down here. I want to get up to blue, yellow, which would be over here. It's on the bottom. I want to get it over here. If I move it like this now and move it over, it's now unfortunately down here. I want it over here. So what I need to do is move it back, move this back, down, flip it up like this, and just move it around. And now that's put that one in the correct spot. And you just keep playing by sight. Here's the blue-white. The blue-white has to go here. For once I actually get lucky, and this would be in the right spot, so I just move it over here, have this come down, move this over, and now bring that back up. And so now there's one left over here. It's in the right spot, but it's got the wrong orientation. If I put it down here and slide it over and move this up, and just play a few moves like this, and now it's eventually come up into the right position. So now we have the first side done correctly. We have the centers done correctly. What we're going to work on now is the other parts in the second row. So we're solving it in a system of levels. And what we're going to do is we notice the orange is always going to be on top. This is one of the reasons why I like always working on the red side. I always just remember, for me, I want orange on top. So any piece that does not have an orange belongs in the second level. So if I have a piece that has white and blue, it's got to be down here. That's the only place it can be, because white and blue has to be between these two sides over here. White and blue can't be anywhere else. If it was white, blue, orange, then it would be the top corner over here. And so what I do is I go around and look. Here's a piece. This is green, yellow. So this piece belongs on the green, yellow side, so it belongs right over here. What's nice is this is a white, green piece. Actually, that one's in the right spot, so I'm sorry. It's in the right level, but it's in the wrong spot. I want that one over here. What we're going to do is we're going to do an exchange move. So you put the piece, the green-yellow piece, so that the side that's showing over here is in the same column as the correctly colored center. And then we're going to rotate it to here. We're going to do a series of moves to do it like that. So if I want to move it this way, I'm going to spin it like this. If I had wanted to move it to here, I would spin it in the opposite way. And so I'm going to hopefully be able to do this without mixing it up like this. So what I want to do is I want to get it here, so the move is move it here. So I'm going to try to do it like this, because this is trying to deal with trying to deal with the system moving, which is fun. All right, so here I want to move it here, so I'm going to turn it here, then push it up, turn it down, over, and let's see. Unfortunately, I've screwed this up majorly, so I'm now getting quite confused to do like this. All right, so I've turned it back. All right, so I want to move this here. So I'm a green yellow. I want to move it to here. So I go. And I think that's the one I want. And I've completely screwed this up. All right, take 3. I'm sadly having issues with doing things while looking to the computer. All right, so here is white, green. I want to move white, green down to here. So white, green, white is now aligned with the correct center. I want to move white, green to there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so that I have now moved at least to the right square. So at least that one I've got it correctly. So I'm now hopefully back on my orientation. Let me try doing this again slowly. So I want to move white, blue to here. So I start moving in the opposite direction, then I move the opposite side, move this over, move this down. Then I'm going to have to move this red over here. So if I push this up like this, and then bring this back over here, the red is going to come down in the right spot. And so we're just moving the pieces one at a time. Now, if we look at what's going on here, I have a blue, yellow over here. Because I have a blue, yellow, I can try to push this into, here's the blue, yellow, I want to move it down into here. So I'm going to want to move the blue, yellow down to here. So it's just a series of moves. And you just memorize these series of moves, and you can either move a piece from here to here or a piece from here to here. So I want to move this piece from here to here. So I start off going in the opposite side, the opposite direction. I then move this piece up, I move this piece over, and then I move this down. I've got the red square here. I want to get the red square to here. So now I'm going to have to move something up. So I move this over, this up, and the red comes back like this. And now I've ended up with the red line here. And so we now have the first 2 levels that are done correctly. Fortunately for me, when doing it this time, I had no issues in terms of running out of pieces to move. You could end up in a situation where, unfortunately, none of the pieces up here are the pieces that have to move down. You might have this piece over here is not green-white, but this piece could be green-yellow and green-white is over here. And so if you have a situation like that, you don't have a piece in the top level to move down to the second level. What you do is you say, screw that, I'll take a piece in the top level that belongs in the top level, and I will flip it with one of the pieces down here, and I'll move that piece up. Now that that piece is up, then you can plug that back in the right position. So if you ever get in a situation where you do not have a piece up top that you need to move down, all you have to do is take one of the pieces that's in the correct level but in the wrong spot, move it up to the top level, and then move it back down. All right, so now what we want to do is we want to make all of these on orange over here. So we're going to go through a sequence of moves whose purpose is to make all of these pieces orange. We'll have them in the wrong position, but they'll at least have the orange side face up. So we're first going to work on the sides of the top level. So these 2 are correct, these 2 are wrong. And what we're going to do is, the way I like to view it is, we're going to do a process. And this process is going to fix one piece at the cost of screwing up the rest of the cube. But we'll say we're going to have 2 orientations in which we can do it. We can screw it up positively, or we can screw it up negatively. So what we're going to do is we're going to first screw it up one way, and then when we fix the next piece, we're going to screw it up the opposite way. And so the net effect on the rest of the cube will be to cancel out after we do the 2 steps. So after you do one step, things are going to look very different and very bad, but after you do 2 steps, things will balance out. So you just have to remember the order in which you do things. So I always do things to the right first, so on the second one I'll do things to the left. So I want to fix this piece and move this piece up and then this piece. You also always want to remember where is your takeoff position. You always want to have things launching from the same place so that when you're doing the operations, everything's in place. So I'm going to have this as my takeoff place. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here, go back 1, spin this around twice, and then spin this twice, 1, 2, and then bring it back. Oops. And then when you bring it back, you notice that I've now fixed this and it's now face up, and the rest of the cube looks very bad. This was the other one on the top that I need to fix. So I now turn this back over here, and now I go through the operations. I started off last time by going this way, now I'll go this way. And so now we spin twice this way, spin this twice, spin this once, and come back up. And what you notice is now we've fixed these two, we've returned the first 2 levels to where they are. So we did the moves in essentially in the opposite order. 2 of the corners are correct, 2 of the corners are wrong. We now do a sequence of moves. You just keep counting to 4, and as you cycle through, eventually we'll fix all the stuff on the bottom. So we just keep track of which corners we need to fix, and we always keep track of our target point, our launching point. So our launching point is going to be here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not fixed. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's now fixed, it's now correct over here. So now I spin it around so that the next one that needs to be fixed is here, and I launch it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's on the bottom but not correct, so I do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so now we notice that the bottom is all orange, the first 2 levels are all correct, we have things in the wrong position. And so now we have to be a little bit careful. This looks like a good move, it gets me a whole blue side down here. I've got, this blue side is all correct, this yellow is correct, these 2 things are wrong. And so I sadly have not learned the best way to do these things. I have learned a way to do it. I'm more of an engineer than a mathematician here. I'm just looking for a solution. And so earlier I had mentioned that when we were doing this, we have some kind of interchange operation that we assign a value of +1 when we go in one direction and -1 when we go in the other. The way it's configured now, if we switch the 2 of these, we will do a change of +1 or a change of -1, and we'll screw up everything. We need to do an even number of exchanges. So even though putting it like this helps me by having 2 of the bottom sides correct, it's actually better for me not to do that, because I want to then set it up so that I have to do 2 exchanges. 1 exchange with a plus, 1 exchange with a minus. So if I look at it, this is wrong, this is right, this is wrong, this is wrong. I have 1 thing right and 3 things wrong. So here green is correct. If I switch blue and yellow, I'll then have opposite ones correct. I'll then have the blue and the green correct. So I'm going to switch blue and yellow. Then when I do that, blue and green will be correct, yellow and white will be wrong, and then I'll switch yellow and white. So again, we're going to keep green as correct. We'll make blue correct over here. I always like to go to the left in Rubik's Cubes only. And then by doing that, if my first move is to the left, when I do it the second time, I'll do it to the right. So it's again useful to just always start in a certain way. My launch point is going to be here. So after I fix the blue and the green, I will then need to move the white and the yellow to be launching from here. So now what we do is we go up, over, down. Then the one I was switching it with was here, so I move that over here to the launch point. Then I move that up. Now I go to the right and down. And now we see that this square on the bottom, that one is wrong. So we move this over here to the launch point, and we move it up, and then we go to the left again. So it was left to right, left. You can even see that there's an orange here, so it's clear that this is the one you have to turn, and then you come down. And so now the blue is correct, blue on blue over here. Green on green is correct. These 2 are wrong. So now we switch over here, and now we go up, and now we're going to go to the right and then down. We then have to move it over 2 because we're doing it on opposite sides. Up, left, and down. And then the one we have to fix is again 2. We're going to go up, and then right, orange is a line, and down. And so now the top levels, we've done the operation and we've done it in the opposite direction. They cancel. The first two levels are back to where they are. If you look on the bottom, nothing is correct, but all we have to do is turn it a quarter. That's not that hard to see. And now we have this yellow is correct, this green is correct, this white is correct, this blue is correct. So the sides are all done correctly. All that's left now is the corners. And again, we're going to do the same thing. We need to switch, do an even number of switches of the corners. And every time we do it in one direction, it's a plus, the other direction, it's a minus. Hopefully I will not screw it up here. So right now, this side over here has one corner correct. If I switch this corner over here, I'll have two corners correct. The other two corners will then be incorrect, but they'll be easily fixed because I'll have nothing left to switch. I'll have to switch them. So what I want to do is I want to switch this corner and the one behind it. So this is going to be my launch point, and I'm going to do again left. So I'm going to go one, then left, then down, then switch, then up, then right, then down. Then the one that's wrong over here is down here. So I move that up here, up, left, and down. So at the end of the day, the bottom is still all orange. And so at the end of the day, at the end of the sequence of 3 moves, the bottom is still orange. These ones are all correct. I move them out of the way. These are the 2 corners that have to be switched now. So I move this up. I did left last time, so I do right this time, down. Then I go over. Now I go left and down. And now this is the one I have to move back, so I move over here. I go up. And unfortunately, I have made a small, okay. I may have made a small mistake at the very end, but hopefully that was just from counting, and now it looks correct. So thank you, Alan. Thank you, Umang. Thank you for listening.